Good evening, and thank you for joining us. My name is Chrissy, and I would like to welcome you to the Doylestown Bookshop's virtual event series. I am very happy to welcome Sandy Joy Weston as she discusses her newest book, Train Your Head and Your Body Will Follow. Reach any goal in 3 minutes a day with Elaine Clark. I'd like to begin with a little housekeeping. Sandy and Elaine will be in conversation for about a half an hour. Following that, I will be moderating the question and answer portion of the event. If you would like to submit a question, please click on Ask a Question at the bottom of your screen and enter your question there. If you're watching from a phone or tablet, click the icon with a question mark to submit your questions. If you would like to purchase any of the author's books from the Doylestown Bookshop, please click the button on your screen that says Buy the Book. We do have curbside pickup available at both of our locations, or we can ship the book to you. Lastly, I've had a few questions during past events from viewers who are accustomed to Zoom events. So to avoid any confusion, only our guest authors and myself will be able to participate this evening via video and audio. You may interact with us through the chat box on your screen and through the Q&A. Now a little bit about our authors. Sandy Joy Weston has been a fixture in Philadelphia area fitness circles for 30 years as an instructor, a trainer, health club owner, and media personality. Her mission is to change the world one smile at a time. She believes that the best way to achieve success in all aspects of life is through habits, positive habits. Sandy uses fitness and her gift of motivation as her tools to help individuals achieve their personal goals. Elaine Clark has performed for more than 30 years in commercials, video games, corporate narrations, anime, voicemail systems, talking products, and toys. She is the owner of Voice One in San Francisco, a voiceover, acting, and improv training academy. In addition to performing and teaching, Ms. Clark is also a freelance director, producer, casting director, and audio engineer. Hello, ladies, and welcome. Thank you for joining us this evening.
It's so nice to be here. Hi.
Yay. And I just want to correct one thing. I was the owner of Voice One in San Francisco, and I sold that 2 years ago. So I'm with Elaine Clark VO, but I had that for 32 years, and it's a lot of my history.
I'll be back for the Q&A.
Excellent.
Bye. Oh my goodness, Elaine. So we were sitting here before the show started, and I discovered that Elaine has so many voices that I was like, please just entertain us the whole time. And she's like, okay, we'll do that on another podcast. We got to get some information out. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with me.
I'm thrilled to be here. I know that we both have the gift of gab, so we'll have some fun. And we also are trying to get people out of their heads and into their body in various ways. Mine through voiceover, and you through exercise and eating patterns and all the other stuff. So I want to find out something more about you first. So you have, let's start at the beginning. Now, I know in your book that you shared a bit about your life and how you've always you've always believed a certain way. So for our listeners here who haven't read it yet, can you explain that a little bit?
So my whole life, when I reflected back, I realized there were certain things that I did every single day to stay in that positive, powerful headset. Not that I believe you should be there all the time. You shouldn't wake up pippy skippy and think that's, life, because there's all the emotions you should express and they're all okay. My goal is to get you out of them a little bit, a little bit more in the positive, powerful side, because we want to spend more time there. Maybe 51% would be even really cool. So when I reflected on my life and where I grew up, it was very humble beginnings with a lot of different craziness going on. But the things that empowered me were so simple, Elaine, but I did them every single day. And here's a few of them. One, every single day, I moved. Even for a few minutes, and dancing was for me. So I'd pop the music on and I would move, and it was just so freeing. Number two, I journaled. I wrote it down. Whether it was good, bad, or ugly, I wrote down my goals. I wrote down my feelings. I wrote down my thoughts. And then the third thing, and this is really important, I believed in myself when no one else did. I believed that I had a purpose here. I don't know why, but at a very young age, I thought no matter what anybody told me, I was going to make a big difference in the world. And I was going to inspire others to see their true power. And those things every day, I would tap in and tell myself, write in my journal, I would move and think of ways that I could inspire myself and others. So that's what, fast forward, my whole career, my whole life, everything I did, health clubs, entertaining, dancing, writing books, is all to get those people into that headset and to make them realize it doesn't have to take long. It could take 1 to 3 minutes a day.
And that's amazing that you could have just a couple minutes and then you're feeling energized, which is something that I do. I mean, because I teach voiceovers, I coach people, and it's all about like jump up and down, do something that energizes you because it comes out in your voice. It has a sparkle in your voice. So that's so it all kind of works together. So I mean, and that's why, like in my 2 books, There's Money Where Your Mouth is like understanding the techniques of voiceover for commercials and whatnot. And then voiceovers for podcasting just came out a couple months ago. And that's how to even take what we have and make it even more interesting with our podcast. But it's still, let's jump up and do that first.
Well, that's what drew me to. So I found Elaine through all the books. I went onto my publisher's site. I'm like, I love that book. I love the cover. I started reading it. And I love your presentation because it's not so complicated. You know, you really do give us tips, not just for podcasting, but also to present your story. So I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more than that, because I know there's so many people getting into podcasting, but also how do you present yourself and getting your story? It really matters. And your posture, which you talk about.
Oh, yeah. So how we hold ourselves affects our attitude. So I go into a lot of detail about that. So, but we're all storytellers, especially, well, I'll say most people past 40, which I think maybe we have crossed that bridge. But anyway, maybe.
Depends on the day.
So we have more stories, and in order to make a point, if you tell a story, we get it. And if you just say, here are the things to do, that works. So I think whether something is good or whether it's bad, it's all part of our story. And then we go, I've experienced that too. And here's how I dealt with it. And then people go, oh, now I understand it. Now I relate. So my point in the voiceovers for podcasting book was to make it so that people would come up with more unique and interesting approaches to podcasting. So it wasn't just the normal, let's go by the book, because it can be very technical. It can be just very, check off all those things in the box, rather than let's make it interesting. And the other thing that I did that was kind of cool is that I thought, well, if you're building a team, sometimes the team doesn't work out. So as I've been coaching all these podcasters around the world, most everyone says, yeah, I got this other person to work with me, and that didn't quite work out the way I had it planned. And so I said, there's a whole chapter in the book just about that, looking at people's abilities and say, shift them to another place, or it's just not a good fit.
I'll tell you my favorite part, because I love telling stories, and everybody who knows me, they call me the storyteller, because I'm like, all right, wait a minute. They're like, oh God, sit down. She's going to have a story. I love in this that you interviewed all these different people. And yes, you did ask questions, but it was told in their story and their journey, and it sucked me right in. So I'm sitting here and I'm writing, okay, I learned about the inner voice from Jordan. I learned about don't over edit from Aaron, but normally I'd be bored and go, okay, I'm done in 10 pages. But this one, I couldn't wait to see, what's that person going to tell me? What's that person going to tell me?
Well, the thing that was nice is that they shared their pitfalls. They shared their difficulties and their life story about how it got there, rather than I decided I was going to have a podcast and I did this. And it was great. Instead, it was like, well, I had some that work out, some that didn't. This is it. Now I realized I opened up this other can of worms that all of a sudden I want to do this at this quality, but it's so much work. I need a team. There's just, everyone has a different story to tell. And I think that's why going through the various styles, you can figure out which style would work best for you.
Yeah. Which I'm dying to know. How did you originally get into voiceovers? Like, what made you go? Were you always into that? Like, even as a kid?
Well, I always listened and just imitated. And so I would hear something and then I would just do that imitation. And then my parents would go, "Well, that is crazy. What did you do?" And I said, "I don't know. I just did it." And then, so I was a theater major in college, and I also got a degree in communication and also in education. So I was going to be a high school drama teacher. And then I moved to the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, and that wasn't a good thing to do at the time. And so I was doing theater, and really I got into it because my husband said, "You're gone too much with theater, find something else."
Oh.
So I got into advertising and I got into voiceovers because it's about reading something and not going to 6 weeks of rehearsals and then doing a show for a long time. It's about, you have a script, you read it, you make it come to life, you leave. And so it's, some people are calling it during this COVID time sort of the, the privileged acting career, because we can work at home now, just like podcasters can work at home.
Yeah.
And it is also kind of interesting because the podcaster microphones and the voiceover microphones are different based on how they are setting up their room. And if you're into commercials and video games and whatnot, you have an e-learning that you need a really nice booth with a microphone that's on a shock mount. And a lot of the podcasters are just putting a microphone in front of them and on the kitchen table and getting, So, and because the part of it is the rawness, the accessibility, the feeling of that you're just right there in the room with me rather than it being too slick is a lot of the difference. But it was so fun writing both of the books and integrating like 40 years of experience into it, of things that I've learned in voiceover and in acting and as a business owner, et cetera, so that it all kind of plays out.
Yeah. So big question that somebody asked me the other day. What's the one thing that you have to change up in podcasting when people can't see you versus like tonight? When they can see the video?
Well, one of the things I have in the book is that I say that there are a couple different ways. Some people do really well when they're just on the phone, because then, or doing it in like a Zoom cast where you don't see someone, because they feel more free, because I don't have to look at myself. It's like, oh no, please protect myself.
Okay.
And other people say I really need to make the eye contact to see how it works. So it's really an individual thing. And then live, when you're there in the room, has a whole other energy about it.
Yeah.
So I think that we're, during these trying times of this past year, that we've gotten better at doing Zoom stuff. But at first it was like, here's this technology, here's this other stuff. And but I also go, well, how do you deal with it? How do you make it better? It's like, and because of my educational background, I have a lot of checklists. It's like, okay, item 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cause I just like to look at it, check it off and say, hey, I'm going to do that rather than where is it buried in that little part? Yeah. So in fact, I'm working on my own podcast right now. It's Real Talking Tips. And I keep referring to the book all the time when I had a stumbling block, because I did 100 hours of research or more on it. And then it's like, I know it's in here. Let me go find it.
Well, just so you know, tomorrow at 3:00 Eastern Standard Time, me and my business manager are using your book as a guideline to take up a notch my podcast.
Yay.
Because I've been doing, that podcast for so many years, but it was my side gig, and I sold my health clubs in 2019. So now it's my one of my main gigs. And I'm like, I really want to take it up. And how can I even get my message, to more people and inspire them? And I came across you. So
so now I just have to get up and exercise more. So you're good.
You know what? We're both, by the way, guidebooks, and also tell little stories, because I'm the same way in my book. I have little stories about my journey. But the thing about me, and I believe it from the bottom of my soul, and I always say, I'll challenge you for 30 days to try it. Here's the deal. When people say it only takes 1 to 3 minutes a day to change your life and your body in a positive way, come on, Weston. It does, because there's nothing more importantly than how you feel. Before you write that email, before you go and do a presentation, before you go and meet your mate or have a date, How you show up in your mindset, there is nothing more important. So how do you get in that? And that's why I created this journal with prompts that takes you just a minute to 3 minutes, even if it's not exercise. It could be, like I said, you want a new job, you want to start a podcast. It's so important for you to sit and remind yourself, what am I going after? What's my power statement? What am I focused on? And it only is going to take you a minute to 3 minutes. Then you get inspired to a movement that you're going to enjoy doing and not feel like I have to or shoulda. I hate that word shoulda. I want you to really want to do it. So even if you moved, for example, a few minutes every hour, just get up and put an alarm and go, I'm going to move and dance around. You would feel incredibly, I'm telling you, your mind would get excited, your body would get excited, and who knows what would come there. Of course, I want you to move, 30 minutes, 3 or 4 times a week, but I'm telling you, 5 minutes a day, putting on your favorite tunes or taking a breath outside, huge difference. It doesn't have to be overwhelming,
Well, that's it. I mean, one of the things that's that I have to do a lot of is sitting at the computer and recording and editing, and it's a lot of bottom sitting. So and also when you're sitting on your bottom for a long time, and then it's time to go in and record or get on the phone or meet with somebody. So I always just like do a little dance, do the other stuff. So you're talking to me. I mean, I love that stuff that you're doing because it puts a sparkle in the eye. I go outside sometimes, even if I don't have time to do more than a 5-minute walk, but then go, the fresh air was so good. Because we need that. It energizes us when we're sitting down all day.
Yeah. I mean, it's great if you have that time to work out for an hour, or take a class for an hour or go take a hike for an hour, but don't get wrapped up and not do anything, because those little things, well, first of all, it keeps you in the habit of it. And that's important. The little things, I always say, don't make a big, hairy deal of it. And then on the days you can get the full thing in, go for it. But the most important thing is when we're talking about the things I did that really saved my life and where I grew up, because everyone thought, I grew up with great parents, this great lifestyle, blah, 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 blah. I never told them any different. But I grew up in a very humble, rough beginning. And so I knew hands down this worked. You know what I mean? I knew that these little things could make a huge difference in someone's life. So I wanted to give it to others. And even like I forgot to say words, like I have words everywhere posted. How do I want to show up today? Like with power, with joy, with ease and flow, with calm. Like I had a big negotiation today and these guys are tough on me. And I get scared and nervous because I really enjoy them, but they're way better negotiators than me. And I wrote down this. I show up with unstoppable, powerful energy to inspire as many people as possible to tap into their true power within them. And I reminded myself, and I kept saying 3 times over before I went into the meeting. And then when they started going at me, I was like, it's not worth it. This is what I'm going after. And see, it just triggers you back to why are you doing it? Like, why are you doing your podcast? Why are you writing that book? Why do you want to do voiceovers? So. But I want to ask a question about you. All right. Okay. I want to go back to you because I'm reading your different books and I'm loving them. And I love your style, by the way. But I also know you have 2 apps. I didn't know that. So tell me about those.
So one is Activate Your Voice. It's a 5-minute voice and diction app. It's a huge 99 cents, but it's about how to work on your resonators, articulators, your diction, and your breath support. So it's very effective 5 minutes. And then, because people just don't have time, it's once again going back to that 5-minute thing. If you just apply it then, and then your voice sounds great. So some people say, how come it's only 5 minutes? It's like, if it was an hour, you wouldn't do it. If for 5 minutes you will. And then the other one is adding melody to your voice, which coincidentally is about adding movement to your words and how a gesture can make a difference. So if I go a pop like that becomes like a staccato in singing. And so that's what I want to say. So that becomes a little dot. So I go through all the different ways. And that's what my podcast series is now going to be about, how all these things in the books are tied together, which you can hear and see depending on whether you want to do the visual or the audio version of it. But it's that way. It just is out there. And I've always started things from an organic place. And in fact, the first version of my book, I mean, this version of There's Money Where Your Mouth is the fourth version. But the first one came out, I wrote the book so people would leave me alone. And they wouldn't ask me any more questions because there's only so many lunches you can do. And so I wrote it so that people could just leave me alone, and that was it. And then more people wanted coaching and more people wanted coaching. So I went to the second, third, fourth, and then we have the same publisher. And so they said, we want to write a book of voiceovers for podcasting. And we had a meeting, and you're the one to write it. So that's where it was like, okay, because it's going to get me off my duff. I'm going to do all the research and put it in book form. And I'm a storyteller. And so that's where I'm going to do it, where it's an interesting read rather than just a technical, how-to stuff. And then and put my experience also as being a media buyer and an advertising and other stuff into it. So it gives a slightly different tilt to things.
I love the way you said, I want people to leave me alone. And then it ended up getting more people.
I'm used to it now, but at first it was kind of surprising. So now people write books to get people's attention. I would write it so they would leave me alone. So
it's so funny. Yeah. And I'm the opposite. Hey, there's a camera. Can I talk more? Can I talk more?
Well, I like cameras too.
Oh.
But okay. More and more, someone else keeps showing up in front of it.
Oh. Okay. So now I have one more question about the seeing versus what you said, the visual, the pop. So even if people aren't watching your podcast, because you can still record them and see the person, but then only have the audio. Mm-hmm. Would you recommend that versus just doing all audio and not seeing a person, or just depends?
Oh, I think it depends on how people do it. So when I've recorded about 12 of them so far, and this is going to be a 52-week series, so that I'm explaining what it is as I'm showing it. So if someone's listening to it, they can hear it, and if they're watching it, they can see. But I also have the books and the apps. Everything is just supporting one another. Yeah. I really just think of myself as a communication coach and as an instructor. I mean, as a teacher as well as a performer. But I do just about everything in the whole realm of things. Someone said, I think that you're 5 people. I said, I think so.
Well, when I met you, I thought she's so up my alley, and she definitely is not going to get bored.
No.
And that's one thing. I'd rather be overwhelmed or not sure how I'm going to get everything done. I don't know about you, Elaine. I don't want to be bored. I'm always seeking knowledge and to learn something new. Mm-hmm. You know?
Well, the good and bad part about that is that I have so many ideas and so many things I want to do that sometimes I wake up not sometimes, a lot of times I wake up at 3:30 with these brilliant ideas, and I do a lot of problem solving then. But one of the reasons why I sold my school is because I knew I had so much creativity and I needed to go to the next level with what I had to offer. And I'd already done that for a long time. So I thought, well, this is the time to sort of branch out and make it so it's not just for actors, but it's for everybody, because it's the same thing about communication. And I think that we have a problem, the two of us, with energy.
Yeah, that's it. we have no passion about what we do. By the way, that's one of my main things with all the things that I do differently. And I think it's the same thing for you. I don't care if it's podcasting, speaking engagements, writing books, working out. I want to inspire people to find their passion, what gets them out of bed in the morning. So everything I do is about how can I inspire you to tap into your superpower, I call it, your unique power. Like I'm writing a book right now for kids. It's for 8 to 12-year-olds. And I'm writing down superpowers and who's your superhero. And my friends who are in their 50s go, I want that. I want to have superhero power too. And I want a superpower. And I said, well, all it is recognizing what are your unique gifts? What is it within you that you can tap into? It could be, I'm a great listener. It doesn't have to be, you're the best, athlete or dancer or, you sing. You might be, hey, I'm a great listener. I'm kind to people, And so I'm trying to tap into that. Listen to yourself, spend time with yourself, and think about what makes you uniquely different And how can you explode that for your superpower and realize, I don't know about you, but as you get older, you like being more unique, don't you? I mean, before
Yeah,
you
it's
were,
okay. It's
yeah,
okay.
you
You
want to
don't
fit
care
in.
anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. You
You're
don't
not
care
looking over your shoulder and wondering what people are going to think. It's like, I'm
Yeah.
past that.
Yeah.
I'm past that. But
So,
it's so
right.
funny. I have to say one thing. When we first met, one of the things I said is what I like to have a word of what we're doing. And you
Yeah.
said, I always do a word too. So we have
Yeah.
so many different things that are so similar
Yeah.
where we have different things that we're offering, but they all work together for the wholeness and the beauty of bringing out the best in people. Cause I think that that's what we both see is how someone can aspire to be the best person out there. And
Yeah.
so why
Yeah.
stop at half good?
Yeah.
Why don't you be fabulous?
Well, when you were interviewing the people, I was actually getting tingles listening. Yeah, it gave me little chills. I was picturing you interviewing them, and each and every one of them, their podcasts were so different,
Mhm.
but what they wanted to do for the world. I want to be in the world, where they're going. And you could truly feel how much they loved doing what they did, whether they were making money from it or it was their side gig, it didn't matter. They truly wanted to tell people stories, like
Yeah.
every single one of them in a wholly different way, not also different.
Yes, from just I get sleepy saying this is a way just to do the soundscape and put people to sleep, which is
Yeah.
the opposite of what we're trying to do right here. But
Yeah.
it's and then ones with children's books and then with interviews that are really unique and interesting. It's just and there are different styles of how everyone does it. It's I think
Yeah.
pretty remarkable. They shared so much,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
That I feel very, very blessed to have known all of them and worked with them.
Yeah.
So I feel very, it was a good thing.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. When you were going out and doing all that research and they're sharing all their knowledge, I didn't get the impression that one of them felt as if, oh, I can't give away my tips and tricks, which is what I love. Because you can't take who they are away. And it's just like working out. There was no one secret way to do it. Everyone was formatted differently. They went about it differently. Their equipment was different. I mean, yeah, there was that common thing. They were inspired every single day to talk to their guest or host or whatever they were doing. You could feel it in them. But how they got there, you don't have to get tied from that, which I love, because so many times you can hear, well, if you want a successful body, you have to do A, B, C, and D, and E. That's pish, pish, pish. The one thing you have to do is something that you enjoy doing, right? When people always say to me, what's the one workout I should do? Or the one system or the one eating, the one that you enjoy and you're going to do. Don't let anybody tell you there's only one way, to get fit and stay healthy mentally and physically. And that's the same thing I got from you. Like all your books were like, this is not the one way. Find your way. I love this guy, Jordan, who said, listen to your inner voice and just let it bolt out, that all his guests listen to their inner voice. That was so cool.
That is very nice. And I love his story about when he was when he was going to law school and he was very shy and how he dressed up in a kangaroo outfit and went to a
I
bar.
forgot that. Yeah.
So that people would talk to him, and after a while, people were like, "You're the one in the kangaroo outfit," and so that sort of made him sort of break out of it. So, but that's just an approach, to try something. And these are all things that it's going to resonate differently, each little bit with different people. And that's what I'm really, really, I'm so happy about this book, and I'm thrilled with yours. And I love like train your head and your body will follow. That is so amazing.
By the way, they didn't think it was so amazing a few years ago. It took me so long to find somebody who didn't think I was cuckoo, because they're like, huh? And now it's mainstream. And by the way, the people that got me first, all my booking gigs were out on the West Coast, not here in the Philadelphia area at first. Now I can go anywhere. But before, like a couple of years ago, I was in California a lot, and Oregon and Washington. Why do you think that is, Elaine? Why do you think that is?
We just have a little piece going on. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's because everyone's in touch. I think when I first moved to California way back in the late 70s, People said, "What's your sign?" and all this other stuff. I was like, "Whoa!" And then I went to someone with the hot tub that had the wooden hot tub, and
Yeah.
I was like, "Wow, this is California." And I moved there from Louisiana. It was a big change. So
Ooh.
it was quite unique. But I've gotten used to it now, and this is how everyone just sort of sees your soul
Yeah.
and talks in a way that is just, I don't know. I just find that it's really, at least in the San Francisco Bay Area, it's really wonderful just to, that people are just want to know you and they're appreciative, and you have no
Mm,
idea who you're dealing with. Like
yeah.
you can meet somebody and just realize that they own a big business, or they have their own winery in Napa, which are good people to know. And then
Yes.
that's one way to move. But everyone's just sharing, and it's really about communication and knowing people and having that connection with someone is what it's all about.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it. Is his name Mandela?
Oh, it's a woman.
Oh,
Uh, so it's, yeah, I know it's a female. She is, oh, you'll have to go check her out. But she's a river rafting guide, but she also is the most amazing yoga instructor.
oh,
I mean, the kind that just puts one hand down and makes the body plank out
oh,
straight.
yeah.
Yeah. We were trying to do some stuff, but I met her in Morocco, and so that was what was really fun, and just to work with her. But she has The Road Less Traveled, and it's a radio show, and it goes and interviews people from around the world, and then and it's just really a beautiful thing that you get inside this world.
Yeah.
And she said the hardest part, I think, was in Australia with the sound effects and stuff of the bush was just a little bit noisy when
Mm,
she was recording someone.
yeah.
But
Well,
ev-
she reminds me, she says, like, don't, don't forget that everyone has a story, no matter who they are. Take the time to listen to them.
Mhm.
You don't know where you're going to get your pearls of wisdom. And I think that's so true. Sometimes I'll be in the, I don't know, we're getting too personal here, but sometimes I'll be in the ladies' room a little too long. My friends go, "Oh God, do you have to go to the bathroom?" I'm like, yeah, because I'll just strike up a conversation. And I have some great stories that I've learned from people in the bathroom, that you just say, "Hey, how's it going?"
Yeah.
And you hear, "How's it going?" I
Mhm.
love it. It's my favorite times, like sitting at a bus stop, at a park.
Mhm.
You never know those little lessons that you're going to pick up along the way.
Well, as a Southerner, you learn to talk to anything,
Oh, good.
animate or inanimate. So you just talk to a wall if you have to. You have
Yeah.
to talk.
All right. I know they're going to wrap us up. So I want to know, what's the
Mm.
one thing that you want your listeners to remember about all this?
That we all have a story. We have a story to
Ooh.
tell and how we go about it, so that I think that we can be inspiring, not only to ourselves, but to other people, and live in the heart.
I love that. I don't even know if I need to say anything else.
I
I
just
know.
made that up. So I know, I said, but it's true. It was just like, that's very
That's
spontaneous. Oh, but you have another journal coming out too?
Yes. I'm so excited. So these journals are for my book, and my journals are for adults, and I'm writing one for kids ages 8 and 12. I'm excited. It should be
Yay.
coming out in June. And it's the same thing. A lot of the kids are dealing more with anxiety and stress from, working at home and being virtual and not quite grasping what's going on. So I thought about it for a while, and I thought, you know what? I want to go after that age group. I originally was going to go for the high school kids next, but because my son's 17, but this has been really fun. And I've created a lot of little superhero characters, which, I get to
Nice.
be in imagination land. You forget that it's important to be a kid, right?
Oh yeah. Well, this is what actors do, is we find our inner child, and then we should
Oh,
all find our inner child.
all right. Like, do you name your inner child?
Um, Sometimes.
Okay. Does your inner, by the way, do you change voices for your family and friends?
Yeah, and they usually tell me to stop. So,
Oh,
but it's, especially when I would read children's books, and my kids are now in their 30s, but I would read to them, "Now, once upon a time, there was this thing that happened. And then a grumpy old man came over and said this. And then, oh, but then the fairy was there and said, please help me." So I would just go like that, and they would go, "Mom, just use your little voice." So they go, okay. But that's it. That's where it's in your body. You shape your body a certain way and voices come out.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Do you think anybody can do that? I guess anybody can change their voice, but
I think it's a matter of finding your inner child and playing. Yeah. Just like anyone can find movement and find the movement and the play that comes with that. Yeah.
Well said. Hi.
Hi. I'm popping back in. So we have a few questions from our viewers. And the first one is, how does one begin reading books for Audible or another service? And is a regional accent a deal breaker?
No, a regional accent is not a deal breaker. It just impacts what kind of books that you might read. And it's one place that they can go and do research is acx.com. So that's where they have a lot of authors. We'll put a book on there to get read. So I think it's a very long explanation of really what will go into it, but that's a simple one so that people can move on to another question.
This one's for Sandy. I've always heard that your butt can never outrun your mouth. Thank you for making me read that. So how important is eating clean to any exercise routine? Can you tell a story about that?
First of all, eating healthy is the most important thing you can do. I remember, I got so many fun stories about this one, but I am not the person that can eat anything and stay in shape. I've always had to really be strict at what I eat and exercise like crazy. But last year I got really injured and I couldn't move, like literally for like 6 months. Like I was on my side, I couldn't type. But I'm all great. Everything is wonderful. But I wasn't hungry and I didn't eat that much and I didn't want wine. And there's something wrong with me when I don't want wine. And and without exercise, I had to go the other direction. I lost 20 pounds, which is not good, which shows you I wasn't moving, but I just didn't have a huge appetite. And I tell people this, yes, you want to work out. It's good for you. Yes, you'll burn more calories. But as you age, it could be up to 80% important about what you're eating. So you got to move that butt. Yes, but what you put in your mouth, eating healthy is really important. But don't go crazy. I don't believe in set diets. You know what to do. Like someone said, oh, what should should I cut back on sugar? That would be a good idea. So,
yeah. All right. This question is from Anne. I love every tip so far, and I'm looking forward to reading your books, both of you. I'm gaining the confidence to do a podcast, and I'm wondering, can I build an audience if I have an aversion to social media?
Oh, an aversion to it.
Yeah.
Well, you can, but it will be harder. So, but it's you can just put it out there and then build your audience and do emails and spread the word that way. Or you just set up something that's not personal on your social media so that you can promote it that particular way, because people are going to want to find you. That's the thing. It's like you can't just throw it out there and then go bye-bye. So, I mean, that's what I think my example of just saying I wrote the book and then said, okay, now leave me alone, and went, no. If we didn't have social media at that time, but we barely had the internet, but it was, but they're just ways that you can do it that still protect your privacy and protect who you are.
Sure. Sandy, do you have any tips?
I do. Here's the big tip. Number one, anything that you can do all day long, every single minute, to tell yourself how incredibly awesome you are, that is the most important thing. If you could look yourself in the mirror and say, I am not perfect, but I'm incredible, that would be the best thing you could do. And I think especially, I know women are really tough on themselves and we can get to be perfectionist. And so the more and more that you're okay with making mistakes and telling yourself, It's okay to fail. And I didn't get it right. It's like when people start eating healthy and then they go, oh, I shouldn't have had that third glass of wine, or I had those cookies. And they get so angry and they beat themselves up and they feel guilty and bad. No, we don't do guilt. You just say, that just happened. It's okay. Now, what would I like to do tomorrow to serve me well? But that goes back to knowing that you're incredible and that you're amazing and you're not perfect. And I think it just takes every single day reminding yourself of that, whether you write it or do the mirror work. It's just so important. And it's not going to happen overnight. If you've been telling yourself, oh, I feel bad because I don't eat right and I don't look the way I want, it's going to take a little time to retrain it. But I say, find things about yourself, your body, that you love. And some people say, no, I can't even look myself in the mirror. I don't want to look at my body. Well, I don't know. Maybe you got nice earlobes. Maybe you like your eyebrows. There's got to be something. You got to start from a place of that self-love. And I know people say that all the time. You got to love yourself. You got to worry. But what can you do? It's those little things of training your brain to believe it until your body goes, yeah, I'm kind of awesome. And then you're more likely to treat your body with kindness and love and get the results you want.
Okay. There we go. All right. This question is from Al. What do you both do for fun, and how important is play in your opinion? Sandy, why don't we start with you?
Oh my God. You got to be a big goofball all the time. Playing is so important to me. Matter of fact, I started something because I got away from dancing. I taught dance for many years and I took dance. And then when quarantine hit, I'm not one to do it online. I'm like, well, that's ridiculous. So you know what I did? I decided I was going to put an alarm every hour. I was going to get up and jam to my favorite tunes. Well, I wanted to stay committed to it. So I put something out online just to goof off on TikTok. And then I put it on Instagram, Facebook, and it's called Dance Reset. And I just dance every single day to a different song to motivate people to realize, just get up and laugh and giggle and have a good time. And guess what? Of all the things I do, I think that's more popular than anything. Because I don't put on dance clothes. I don't go and put my fitness outfit on. I take my jacket off and I just move. So do I think playing is important? 1,000%. And by the way, the other thing I do, I talk to trees. I go out and talk to trees all the time and they give me my best information. So there's my trick.
Okay. How about you, Elaine?
Well, how can I top trees? So I'll be a tree chopper. Well, I think I have, it's kind of on hold right now, but I have an adventure group that I'm with. And we go whitewater rafting around the world, and we go on hikes, different places, but that's a little tough right now, but right now, my husband and I just love to go on long, long hikes because we live in the foothills and there's so many trails, and I do a lot of really great thinking then, and we have great conversations. So I just love being out in nature. I have Billy, the goat, that now is my friend. And so it's about 1.5 miles I have to walk. And then Billy's there and I go, bah, bah, and it runs and runs and runs and meets me at the fence. And then we talk and I talk to it and he starts telling me stuff and, and then hits his head a little bit because he wants to come over with me. But he's got really big horns. And then if I go another direction, then there's the turkey. And that turkey just loves, it made it through all the holidays. So I'm really proud of it. So it's still there. And I guess there are a lot of vegetarians in our neighborhood. But anyway, it just puffs up. And did you ever know that turkeys just go poof, poof? They make that sound. And then they puff up and it's just gorgeous. So then it just follows and walks along. So I just say, hey, Turk. And so I have Turk and Billy. So those are my friends. And I also have 2 grandkids. And that is just like the best, and I have 3 daughters. They have wonderful husbands. So it's just like, I'm really blessed. And we love to travel. We love to talk. We love to just hang out and do fun things. So I think I'm not lacking for stuff to do that's fun. So
yeah, it's cool.
So that's the good part.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That is really cool.
I'm kind of jealous. I don't have a turkey and a goat and
Well, I don't have to feed them. I don't have to feed them. I just go see them. And their horses and other stuff. I just, live in I won't say it's rural. It's kind of close. So it makes you feel kind of cool that I've now walked so much in the neighborhood that they know me and come over and say hi.
Yeah.
So
I would
like
love that. Yeah.
And if I haven't seen them in a week, I know that I better go see one of them because it makes them mad.
They're your pals right now.
They are.
They're your buddies. They need to know what's going on with you.
Absolutely. And we just talk and just blah, blah, blah. So anyway, we walk along.
Yeah. I love
play
animals.
is important.
Yeah.
Play is important. Oh my goodness. Well, that is it for our questions. I'd like to thank everyone who submitted them. If you're interested in purchasing the author's books, you can click the button on your screen that says buy the books or the link that I just dropped in the chat. It will take you right to the Doylestown Bookshop's website where all 4 books are listed. Thank you, ladies. This was so much fun. Thank you so much for doing this tonight.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Mm-hmm. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, we had a blast. Yeah, we had fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I want to say something. I think with so much going on that you feel like you don't have any control over, the most important thing is to figure out ways to have fun and be silly, And sometimes I heard somebody say the other day, I feel bad right now for having a good time. And I understand that. I understand that feeling, but it's really important. So, to not just yourself, but your friends and family surrounding yourself, as many ways that you can laugh, giggle, watch a silly show, play with your kids, buy 7 cats, whatever it is. It's just, it will balance out the other stuff that you think you cannot control.
We still have to live. We still have to live. Right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you again so much. It was nice to virtually meet you. And I hope when things get back to normal, maybe we can have you in the store sometime.
Yay. That would be great.
All right. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, ladies, for joining us. Everyone have a good evening.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.